G'day Ratbags and welcome to another episode of Dirt Riders TV.
The channel about people,
outside of play.
places and pointers.
It looks like this. Yeah, I might as well do this.
Bag it up!
In today's episode we're at the world's largest sand island, Fraser Island, Queensland Australia.
You'll see ratbags in their natural habitat. Dingoes roaming free. Rainbow coloured sands. Sunsets to die for. And strangers come together to help one another out.
So sit back and enjoy the ride.
The trip started out with a simple decision. And with that taken care of, I found it seemed I wasn't the only ratbag keen to bag it up.
Yeah, he's over for a couple of days or? Oh yeah. No pressure.
A wave of anticipation overwhelmed me as the gaping maw of the barge beckoned me forward. I felt a bit like a little fish about to be devoured by a massive whale. Suddenly the sister ship came within inches of us, giving us all a moment of pause. But finally, with a gentle rock of the barge, we were underway, and it was time to say good day to some of the locals. Then, just like a Friday night at the Dabdo Dogs, the gate dropped and they were off. Well, most of them were. It never ceases to amaze me how many city folk come out unprepared, never have driven on sand. There you go, that's how you do it. But we've all got to learn somewhere, and with a little bit of instruction from the bargee, she backed up, gave it another crack and was underway in no time. I guess she wasn't the only one that was having a bit of trouble. It does take a bit to get used to sometimes. But I guess it does help if some idiot doesn't park his bike in the middle of the road. So it was time to bag it up. But then I thought twice. Well, I didn't want to stack in front of everyone else. So slow and steady was the way to go. But not being one for slow and steady, I decided,
Fuck that powdery shit.
even if it did mean getting the tyres a bit wet, and between the delicate balance of timing, speed and patience, I began to find myself hitting a groove.
Ah, the beauty of being on the bike.
Over the weekend, this is where I found myself riding the most. Hard, compact, wet sand.
So, I do know that one of these hire vehicles is not allowed to get in the salt water at all.
Or if you do, it's a $500 fine. Which when you think about it is pretty much impossible not to do.
Why not?
Nothing like a pair of wet boots. Well, at least that's what I thought there and then. But later in the day, when they're wet all day and all the next day,
Love the water.
maybe not. So the trick I found was all in the timing. If you sped up just as it was receding and slowed down when the wave came in, you pretty much missed all the deep water. But one thing you couldn't miss was the glorious view. I mean, so many places we can ride in the world, and have a look at this. That's a lot of sand, with no jumps, no trees, no yowies.
You better believe it.
What's a man to do? Time to bag it up again. After about an hour and a bit's worth of riding, we pulled up at Yurong Beach Resort for a few snacks and a hitchhiker. I decided to call him Dave the Dingo. Let's see how much he enjoys the surf. As usual, the bloody four-wheel drives were holding up the show, so it was time to take a shortcut. Unfortunately, Dave wasn't ready.
Oh, ripped my little dog off. Didn't like that, did he? Stay there. Sit.
Happy Valley Resort was the next in line, so I thought I'd take a spin up there so you could check it out. Look out, Nana! One thing I noticed over the weekend was there was still a lot of people visiting the island, regardless of all the restrictions. And it's no wonder, it definitely is a beautiful part of the world. And the views were to die for. A bit further up I came across Eli Creek. As the fresh water makes its way down off the higher lands to meet the ocean, it creates nice deep water ruts, perfect for swimming in. At Eli Creek they've made a nice little boardwalk so you can get up one end of the creek and go down on your tube all the way to the ocean. And here's a quick walkthrough of the creek from one end to the ocean. And if you've ever wondered where number plates come from, well, now you know. There's also joy flights available on the island, and they take off and land right there on the beach. Unfortunately, the power of peer pressure was so overwhelming, I just had to give it a crack.
Of course it will.
In the back of my mind I was thinking, give it a go. Give it a go for the viewers.
Oh!
But the mighty DR, it pulled through in the end, and I didn't have to walk the walk of shame. Well, at least not straight away. As I got to the other end and decided to go for another round, the old stormtrooper decided this was one drink too many.
Didn't like that. That's what you get for showing off, eh?
And as I sat there trying to kick it over, those waves were relentless. I thought I'd got to get out of here before I get washed out into the sea. Still no go, but still the waves kept coming. It was time to contemplate why man puts himself through these challenges. Surely there's better things to be doing. like drinking a nice ice cold beer. But I wasn't going to find a cold beer on the back of the bike, so it was time to soldier on. And this was the end result.
It looks like this. Here you go. I might as well do this.
Righto.
I have to say I was very grateful for the pit crew's assistance.
Wait, take a bit
Absolute
away.
professionals.
Can't run him before I-
Fellas, we're back on the road in no time. Cheers, guys. Eventually we made it to Cathedral Resort, and that's where we were going to stay for the weekend. Just goes to show that 2 wheels are better than 4 sometimes. Whoops, spoke too soon. This highly used part of the track was like quicksand. You point your bike one way and it wants to go the other.
Get hold of it.
Time to lock in the hubs in the Angry Bee mode. Once you get your momentum going, it's pretty good until there's a goddamn four driving the way. Which is code for bloody four drive. All the resorts have cattle grates and electric fences to keep the dingoes out and keep the kids safe. Not a bad idea. And not a minute too soon did we arrive, as my proverbial brain was asking, "Are we there yet?" It's views like this that whisper to you, time to relax. And this view was like a mirage in the desert. I felt like crawling up to it, screaming, "Thirsty! Thirsty!" Over the next few days, this was to become my oasis, served by some wonderful staff and welcoming attitudes. I enjoyed healthy holiday breakfasts just like this. Holidaying sure can be a challenge, especially when you have to rough it. The Cathedral Tourist Park provides you with everything. Hot showers at the end of the day. A quick and easy way to get rid of all that salt water and sand. But if you don't like roughing it, you can always go for the upmarket, cosy camping sites. You also get full access to the communal barbecue sheds and tables, as well as a cool place to store your big catch of the day and essential fluids. But if roughing it's not your style, you can always go for the upmarket BYO camping site. And if you want to get rid of the kids for a while, the old volleyball court and ping pong table will be a hit. I'm a firm believer in the old saying, the early bird catches the worm. Well, in this case, the early bird catches the views and the beauty of this Fraser Island. As you can see, I do my bit for recycling, turning the old soft drink bottle into a kickstand stabiliser. And it works a treat. As you can see, I wasn't the only early riser. These little crabs excavate these balls and throw them out by the millions every day after each tide goes away. Also, these horseflies will give you a nasty bite. Another early riser on the beach every day since 1935 was the SS Mojino. The SS Mojino was an ocean liner that was owned by the Union Company of New Zealand, and it was launched on the 19th of June 1905. At 120 metres long, or 400 feet, the top speed was 17.5 knots, due to the 3 Parsons steam turbines that powered along at a good clip. The ocean liner, like many modern ones, was fitted out with very luxurious amenities. It also served in World War I as a hospital ship. But unfortunately the ship was only to have a short life, 30 years in fact, as it found its final resting place in 1935 due to a cyclone. But since then, it has now served as a wonderful attraction for over 85 years to many of the tourists. And I'm sure it will for many, many more years to come yet. As the sun came up and the blood started to warm, the old enthusiasm started to increase as well. I spotted a couple of real dingoes, so they looked like they needed a good feed, and so did I. Unfortunately, when you don't have your mind on what you're doing, this is the end result. One moment I was up, the next I was down. The front end decided to dig in and I went for a swim. And so did the bike. The next time I fell over was when I seen this fuel price. And the price of beer. It's no wonder people bring their 4-wheel drives, they need it to bring all their beer and fuel. But by the end of the day, that was the least of my worries. This section here is where you're at the top of the island nearly and you cross over towards Waddy Point and Champagne Pools. It's definitely a good workout for man and bike, that's for sure. Unfortunately, it was high tide nearly and it basically stole all my compacted sand. I didn't have anywhere to really ride and it looked a bit hairy. I thought one of those waves would just wash up and suck me into the ocean. But with no other option, I decided to give it a crack. But in the end, it was just too much hassle. Everything was washing up on me. It was a mixture of the fluffy stuff, the wet stuff, and I was just getting bogged down. So I did a U-turn, started to head back, and then that's when it happened. The mighty DR wasn't so mighty all of a sudden. It only had 7,400 Ks on it.
Well, there we go. No clutch. Stuck in the middle of Waddy Point and Champagne Pools. There's the water right there. So the tide's coming in. It's getting closer and closer.
That rogue wave sure put my nerves on edge. Looked like the only way to get off the beach safely was give it a good push. While wearing my sexy giggle hat. I did manage to get it away from the incoming tide, but then I had to figure out what to do next. It did take about an hour or so, but I was lucky. With a lift from some of the locals who said they were fishing, put their tinnies down for a little bit and gave us a hand to lift the bike up onto the tray. Many thanks to the guys and Jack and Jaden, who really saved the day.
Get outside and play.
Because without their help, I'd probably still be stuck on that beach.
We want to be on YouTube now. Be part of a channel now.
But at the end of the day, all I could do was get it back to the campsite, and I had to leave it there for the whole week and come back for it next week. Because the price of towing it off Fraser Island was more expensive than getting a new kidney. And thanks to my mate Wayne, we got it done in record time. After a new clutch from the boys at Wide Bay Motorcycles, there was only one thing left to do, and that was to clean out all this friggin' salt. Since I've been on the island, I've heard a heap of stories about salt damage, corroded wiring harnesses, and even rusty forks. But it was fun, it was an adventure, and I can't wait till the next one. Until then, get outside and play.